been a damn long time, hasn't it? You're probably wondering why you're not seeing anything like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or any other game lately. Well, in the time that I haven't been streaming, I've been helping a lot of other people. I've been dealing with their things, their lives, the stuff that they go through. And I haven't really had too much to really stream as far as games or anything, so I felt that I just needed to take another break and wait until I had something. Things just never really went the way it should have for this. But I guess that's what I'm here to talk about today. When I started doing this channel, there was one giant setback. About I can't even fucking remember anymore how long ago that was. But the first stream I had, it had so many of my online friends, and they all showed up to support me. I had a wonderful time, and this was like during the era of VTuber intros and all this other shit where you drop your lore and you talk about the different things you like to try and relate to the audience, see how many people would actually come follow the hype and see where it goes, right? I did great. I had like 15 people the first time I ever streamed. I was happy. I was excited. I felt like I could do anything. I felt like I really was about to start everything. I end the stream. I hit my outro button. And something happened. There's a button in Twitch's settings that says save VOD after stream. It wasn't ticked on. I lost all the footage from that. My heart sank. My head went empty. It was filled with static as I sat there and mourned what I had just done. I felt sick. I felt broken. And even so, I had the balls to, very next day, stream yet again, no matter how I felt. When I was younger, every time I was put in place or I was having to stand in front of a crowd or I'd have to give even a simple presentation in class, I was up there and there was such a lump in my throat that I couldn't even speak properly, and I looked like an absolute embarrassment. And it wasn't just my own judgment either, I felt it. I could feel exactly what was going on with me. I would mentally shut down and everything. I couldn't even give proper presentations, and I'd force myself through it, and I'd feel sick the entire time. It's that feeling like you're gonna puke, but you never do. I felt that for the first time in, well, goodness. It has been a long time since school, huh? I felt horrible. It was nothing like that first day that I streamed and got it all off my chest and was able to just flow and do it so easy. And yet, I didn't even have an audience. I just felt nervous, scared of the possibility. For those of you wondering, I don't even have my chat up, I don't believe. So, anything said today, I'm sorry if it gets ignored. But today I'm just going to be rambling about where all this has gone. You see, when I started doing this, I started with my dreams. My dreams first and foremost. I didn't expect anything of fame and retribution of that sort of any of it. I came here because I had a lot to say. And this may seem like some insane rambling. Something that would probably get me put in a fucking pillow room, for fuck's sake. But you know, it's sad when everyone that I talk to, with their different views, their different ideals, everything that is so... Sometimes you just can't find the words, right? Things that make us individuals, right? Despite every little difference, they all agreed with everything I had to say. To me, it feels like humanity in its entirety has lost its hope. They lost their will to get things changed and to do better for the world, to do better for those around them, to do better even for themselves. Despite even my situation, where I can't really just go out and do everything the normal way, I still tried something at least. I tried streaming my favorite games. I tried starting to get followers, and I tried to get people's interest the best I could, despite my nervousness. You know, it took 6 months for me to get over it, and all of my VODs are still on YouTube. Uncensored, completely in the raw. The only ones that are even privated are just snippets that were probably too short or cut off from Twitch failing on me in the middle of my streams. Which, I mean, even some of those are put up still. See, as far as everything goes with people nowadays, they just don't have enough hope anymore. And I noticed this years ago, when things hit the fan. For a while, I was lost. I never knew what to do. I just knew I wanted to do something. I don't exactly have a master of a craft or anything. I've gone to college, but it's just my basics. And, well, we all know, in today's economy, all of that makes... it's worth nothing. But you know, here we are, still fighting, still pushing, but it's lacking soul. It's an empty haze, isn't it? So why do I keep bringing this up? Why do I keep talking about hope and what I expected to do? I made the plan to reach out to as many people as possible. I wanted to get out there. I wanted to make sure that I was heard, not just across my nation, but across several, even if they couldn't understand me. I wanted to eventually learn more languages. I wanted to reach out to more people, not just people that thought the same as me, oh no. I expected anyone to be able to talk to me. Because this kind of hope hasn't been drained just from one part of the world. There's people all over, hoping for a better future, no matter where they are. And to say that they're not deserving is wretched. So what would I be able to change, you may ask? Would I be changing people's opinions? Would I be pushing out ideals that were one-sided? Would I be trying to convince people of so many different things that it would change their entire outlook? No. No. All I wanted was something simple, yet hard. I wanted people to have their hope again. Not just in themselves, not just in the world, but for each other. Day in, day out, everyone likes to bicker. They like to fight over what's right, what's wrong, and what they believe in. But they forget about the one thing that sets every person apart. The thing that isn't really supported in class. The thing that isn't really supported in society anymore. Being an individual. We grew up wanting to fit into a mold, to be popular, to do so good amongst all of our peers and look the same and do the same things. Then you had your outliers, your outcasts, those who were bullied and pushed away from it all. In my opinion, those were the smarter ones. The ones who got it before the rest. That being an individual is a lot better than fitting into a cookie-cutter mold, being pushed into a single shape. I feel like people have forgotten how beautiful being an individual is, so that when they see someone who's different, they're scared, and they don't want to admit it. They get angry when ideals clash. Even when things aren't even forced upon them, it sends them into a rage, and they fight for no reason. I've seen this for several years. The way I see things, we could be doing a lot better for each other if we started coming together. I understand that a lot of ideals will clash. I understand not everyone's going to agree with one another. Some of you have polarizing ideals, religions, even lack thereof. But at the rate that we're going, and I know it's 2026, it's dated. But for whenever this is seen, for whoever sees it, no matter what time it is, if something's wrong with this world, and if there is things going on to where everyone doesn't have an opportunity in some way, then I urge you to at least listen for a moment, no matter what my ideals may be, or yours. We can put our differences aside. We can take a moment to figure out a problem. we can find agreements within certain things. And we can also agree to disagree. Do we have to start fights over it? No. Do we have to start screaming at one another over it? No. Do we have to hold on to such harsh emotion over it? No. We can do a lot more. For those that we don't agree with, just by saying, for a moment, what a wonderful individual. And I don't mean in a snarky way. I don't mean in some backhanded reply. Because if we weren't individuals, then it would be either everyone thought the same as you, or you thought the same as everyone else. And that isn't right. There's so many people out here arguing. Look at the state of affairs we're in now. It's gone from one extreme to another. It's a damn shame. You know, there was a lot of nonsense going on before. But then there's also the same amount of nonsense from the other direction. It's just constant. Back and forth. But no midpoint. And I just have this feeling that we could be doing so much more if we put all of our efforts elsewhere. If we start fixing the things that need to be fixed. We have faulty products left and right. We have so many things that don't make sense just laid out, and we're expected to figure it out ourselves. We have an entire economy which is flipped on its head, no matter where you are, mind you. And then we have all these stupid fucking choices that are made left and right. And all it does is cost lives no matter where you are. Now, I'm not saying anything as far as those who would break the law. They get what they deserve. There's laws in place, no matter where you are, for a reason. But man, to think that most of this came from ideals and who got pissed at who, man, that's just insane to me. Imagine what just a little bit of communication would have done to stop that. To not have such horrible things happening. Even if we disagree on 50 things, I think we as people could take solace in agreeing on one thing. We need to do better. So what was the point of me saying that? Well, what was my dream when I started doing this? I'll sound like a madman at first. I'll sound absolutely crazy. But to some of you, hopefully all of you actually, this has all been a question for every single person since they were born, no matter what language they spoke. They even said it in their language. I want to save the world. Now, to the millions of you who have said, that's crazy, It's impossible. Well, I hate to tell you, the fact that we've put people out in space, we've been able to gaze out to the supposed edges of the universe, and it only grow even more past our scope of seeing things. And you want to say that saving the world is impossible? You want to say that this isn't just another obstacle we can get over? We were literally made for it. And I know this is probably some philosophical mumbo jumbo to some of you, but at the same time, if I didn't have hope that we could do something about this, as a collective, as people, then why would I say anything at all? And it doesn't take anything drastic either. We all have to do what we have to do, and we're not all qualified for the highest spot. It's a team effort. Whether you're just another person working at a McDonald's, or if you're a big NASA scientist, or even better, you have all this tech and money in your hands probably out there. Jesus. The amount of things that you could probably do to help fund these things, to start helping one another and actually get some shit done and make reliable things to help your people. I think we're long past the times for barbaric wars and idiotic scuffles amongst each other because of what we believe, and I think we're at a point of where we need to start reflecting on what kind of people we really are and who's all around us. You know, I know I'm real monotone. I know I don't have the best voice for saying any of this or even standing up at that fucking podium or anything. But at the end of the day, I didn't start doing this because I had an ego. I didn't start trying to speak to people because of some greedy bullshit. Like, you sit here and look at the VTuber community and you can't go a day without something happening. There's always some sort of little prissy classroom drama going on, or there's a very serious accusation happening, or it'll be something blown up to that extent, but it's just classroom drama yet again. You would think that we tried to move to the internet to get away from all the celebrity bullshit, right? To kinda get away from media and its falsehoods, all of its convoluted ways to try and sink their teeth into you and make you just mindlessly watch their garbage, right? To forcefully catch your interest just because it's popular to talk about. The fact that all of this is designed to keep us from talking about what truly fucking matters. The things that we're all having issues with. It's astonishing the kind of light that'll be shown on topics depending on who's where. You know, we spend so much time and effort with trying to do better, and it's become more than just an uphill climb. You're literally trying to fling money into the sky in hopes that someone will toss you down a rope for you to climb. And the sad thing is, the ones over the pit, they're already dead and gone. You're throwing your money into hopes that aren't gonna happen. Because you're not relying on your own thoughts. You're not relying on your own volitions. You're not pushing for your own ways. You're not putting forth enough effort. Now, depending on which way that's taken, it could be said that that's just boomer talk. But at the end of the day, were we doing the right methods? Were we actually taking action? Or were we just sitting there saying, we're fucked, we're doomed, we're not going to be able to do anything about this? Are we actually going to be heard? Yet here I am. I don't have a dime to my name. I got all of this practically luck-based. And I'm still able to sit here and stream for you. I'm not lying. I don't have a dollar to my name. I'll tell you how I started this. I only had a set amount of money. A little bit. I used that little bit specifically on a PC setup, a budget PC. Not gonna say my specs, but it only cost me $1,000 because I went and checked every little deal. I put it all together with the help of a few friends who knew what they were doing as far as PC building. And the last step was getting a camera to do VC face. Another friend, he wanted to make me a model because he was tired of making things for people and they don't use them, and he knew I would use it. I thank him heavily. It's not this one, but if you go back in my VODs and shit back on YouTube, you can see where I started. And I'm very proud of what he did for me. It was a very rocky start, but you know, it started me. So I got that for free. I had to convince family to swap to gigabit internet, which I have. It's very wonderful. And it was actually cheaper than what we were paying for. So basically we dropped cost in order to be able to do this. At the time, I didn't have this headset that I have currently. But let's fast forward a bit. A friend of mine was upgrading from a Quest 2 to a 3. Didn't have any really necessary needs to keep this one, so they sent it to me. They knew I'd enjoy it a lot more than they would have. And the other reason that they even did that, I started them on Master Duel. And I was a very good teacher for the game, and they loved playing every second, just about. They loved learning the game, and they really enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! All because I showed them. I mean, hell, I still occasionally talk with them about it. I definitely need to duel them again. Most definitely. I wonder how far they've come, even with all the breaks in between, because god, the meta has been garbage. Well, it's more like it's made everything else garbage. Unfortunately. Lord. Oh yeah, the trackers. A lot later down the line, another friend of mine, they were upgrading to a different set of trackers, and, well, they apparently quote-unquote make mega bucks. They had no need to keep little slime VRs. They claimed that it was always giving them issues anyway. So, I took them up on the offer of using them, and they were also getting rid of a few other things, so they sent that too. In short, this has cost me one PC. I already had everything else. I had my Switch. The fact that I did this, like a model, now the second one, which this one is something a friend got for me, which I know how this is sounding, as if I piggybacked off of all of them, but I am the type of person that doesn't even like to receive gifts. You can literally go back and see every time people have donated, I complained, because I don't feel I deserve that. I genuinely don't. I'm the type of person that says you should work for your things that you get, and I've tried to refute things like gifts and stuff towards me, only for them to say that I've done enough. I still don't believe that. I don't believe I've done enough till I stop walking this earth. There was a lot of expectations I had too, despite all this being so simple to put together off of the little that I had. I actually did a retexturing of this model here, just so it could look more like my character that I've played for years. I do with what I can. I don't have money to sit there and blow on art. I'm not gonna sit there and use AI and try to push a whole bunch of shit for my channel with that. But I'm not about to sit there and start getting on the anger train about AI either. The way I see it, it can be used specifically for useful things like medical and maybe programming, but mainly as an aid considering how many issues there are with it. But I'm not gonna sit there and get pissy about someone using it. The reason being, if you want art, if you want things that are made with love and passion, you're gonna go find people to do that. Or you're gonna do it yourself. And you're gonna find actual people that will create from the heart and soul. You're not gonna find someone who uses an algorithm. You're not gonna do that sort of thing. Because you're not looking for slop. You're looking for meaning. You're looking for something that really shows soul. That's just the baseline of it for me. I see no point in sitting there and being a little keyboard warrior about every little thing. I tell you, one of the biggest things that's had me scared recently, I've looked into how the education system has become. I've looked into how the next generation's coming up. Of course, it was the algorithm forcing everything, right? But I kinda needed to see it to kinda gauge where everything was with people. It's a damn shame. Cocomelon and all these other little shorts and AI slop channels and whatnot, just kinda rotting the brains of children because parents don't wanna put the time and effort to raising their kids. It's ridiculous. And I mean, yeah, I'm among those that I refuse, whenever I have children, to ever give my kid an iPad. Like, fuck's sake. I had a Nokia up until high school, and I didn't even get to see the Nokia until very um, midway of middle school, I believe. If I'm remembering that right at all, because man, it's been years. And I mean, I was far behind. Like, I was raised a lot older than most that are in my age bracket. Like, I was raised on things like Gomer Pyle and MASH. Um, I watched PBS Kids when I was little. I watched a lot of older stuff. Uh, man, it's crazy. It really is. The things that you get raised on and it's the whole nature versus nurture and all that stuff. Just the way that you're brought up in childhood and how you're taught. How much that can affect someone. It's insane. And I'm not saying like I would fully deprive my child of like like electronics and whatnot, but I know for damn sure they would not be getting a phone at fucking. I might give them their phone at high school. I can see where that would be a thing. But definitely not before then. Definitely not. And the sad thing is, I don't even know if I could put my kid through normal school if I had one. Because now they're doing AI teaching. The teachers aren't even really giving a shit too much. Or the ones that are, they can't even manage the students that are there. And it's a shame. It's a real shame. By the time I wind up having children, I'm hoping that I'll be able to homeschool them. But given my situation, I don't even know if I'm gonna have a future for myself. Which that's fine. Because we're here in the now, and that's what matters. And that's kind of why I've reserved myself to helping the people that I can. A lot of people They forget to face the monsters that are in them. They forget to really work on themselves. Or they're too scared to really dig deep and admit what's wrong. They sit there and they self-loathe, they worry, they tear themselves apart, when what they had to do was reach into their own hearts, pull it out, and find that little bit of darkness that they were afraid to confront, and start acceptance. I myself have talked to many people. I've dug so much into their souls for them. I've sat them down, and by the end of it, they'd be crying. Because I would help them get to the core problems that they had. I'd force them to be blunt. I'd force them to rip the mask off. I'd force them to be able to speak. Because the one thing that everyone is so afraid of when it comes to these things is admittance. They never want to talk about it to anyone because they're afraid of reaction. They never want to rely on another person because they feel it's a burden. And they're afraid to admit it to themselves because they feel like they cannot deal with it given everything going on. The second you take the time to work on yourself, if taking even at least 1 second is what it takes to start, then why isn't everyone capable? Some people lack logic. Some people just don't get it or overthink things. And I know I'm probably speaking completely out of line as far as where I'm at. But who's to say I can't help someone figure themselves out? I'm not saying I can do everything, oh hell no. No. I'm saying, let's get to the root, at the very least. Let's identify what started it, what the problem is. The things that make your mind overheat with anxiety. That's what I get them to. And the second they're able to talk about it, the second that they're able to speak on it, that is something beautiful. It's wretched, but beautiful. Because it's not the pain that they're going through in the moment, by no means. It's knowing that they were strong enough to take the step that's needed. And once you see that in someone, you see a magnitude of hope in someone else. Not yourself. In someone else. You see so much potential for a person within that moment. Because they took the one thing that was eating them alive and crushed it. And when you watch how people move on from there, even if they need a little more help here or there, It's magical to see them doing so well after. To see them doing better for themselves. And even fucking up along the way because we're people. It's so fucking beautiful. Because you know they're advancing, you know they're doing better. And I feel like if more of us were able to just put a hand on someone's shoulder that we knew and tell them that it's okay to let it out, it's okay to talk about it, there would be a lot more things going on in this world that actually benefited one another. There wouldn't be a tolerance for the enshittification of products and things that are meant to be used by other human beings, let alone for every other thing that lives. If we had things built with humans in mind, if we had things built with everything in mind, but still functional, still doing the job right. We need quality, we need assurance. We don't need subscription plans and insurance. I would ask you one thing. What is your biggest dream? For many of you, it was to be an astronaut, to be a doctor, to be maybe a lawyer, because you want to defend people's rights. Maybe someone got wronged. Maybe things happened a certain way and it just never came to, did it? You realized when you looked up at the sky and you saw all the stars at night, just how small you were in the big scope of things. You felt like an ant. And you couldn't be that astronaut anymore. You couldn't be the doctor that could help everyone. That moment in time where you gave up. Did you ever think maybe you could do something like that in a different way? Did you ever think that maybe just because you couldn't become an astronaut, just because you couldn't push forward and become a doctor or didn't have the brains for it either, maybe you could take a different angle? Maybe you could still have interest and love for it and respect for it. That it didn't have to get completely separated from your life. I tell you, I was the one that looked up at the stars and I wanted to discover everything. I had a love for exploration. I had a love for the great unknown, the things that were created before we existed. I have a big belief that we're here to record and document it all. Not each individual one of us, no. That's why we're kinda built how we are. We do things generationally, we make advances, we're very intellectual. And hell, even if I'm wrong, and we were just made from apes, or whatever other evolutionary purpose, so be it. Who am I to trample on science or other people's beliefs? I'm just another person out here that knows just about as much as everyone else. But let me tell you, when I say we should be out amongst the stars by now, we should be making those technological advances far faster than this. It's real funny how we say rock beats scissors and paper beats rock, right? And then scissors beats paper. It's real funny how, depending on the type of paper, it can keep you from launching metal into the sky. It can keep you from making all sorts of advancements that a rock could. Now, what do I mean by that? We're making computers. We're making rockets. We have so many little inventions across this whole world, little basement projects even, that are more advanced than the shit they're allowing us to do. All for the sake of money and greed. Now, I'm not saying we don't need an economy. I'm far from saying that. We need some way to figure out who gets paid what. But I say, when it comes to the very benefit of humanity, we need to start doing a whole lot better on the front of discovery, exploration, and execution of it. These are things that will advance the entire human race. And you're telling me that the only reason we're not able to get this shit figured out is because we can't find a way to pay all of these smart people that have dedicated so much of their lives to helping humanity? You know, you call me insane for wanting to save the world, but I'd say that's insane in itself. You would think that it's priceless, even. No, trust me, I understand equipment and such costs. Materials cost. I get that. But man, the things we would be able to do if we weren't always sitting there thinking about the money. You know, when I die, and it is inevitable, just a bit before that, I want whatever sort of cryostasis or whatever the fuck is at the moment that we discover it. I want to be cryostasis in a coffin or some shit, and I want to be fired at a fucking black hole, and have it set to where the date of which I thaw or reanimate or whatever the fuck happens, just that last day, I want to experience a black hole. Now, I know the theories. I know the possibilities of not even really truly experiencing it. I might be dead within the instant that I am pulled into its light-destroying core. But you know, I will have been a human that experiences one of the biggest draws that I've ever had to space. Let alone being one of the first, or even if not the first, a person to be spaghettified. If that's even a theory. That's fucking insane. That's the most metal way to go out, is by a fucking black hole. I'm not saying the whole world, no. Just me. Just me. This world has a lot more advancements to do. I dream far bigger than I will ever amount to. The fact that I'm willing to sit here and do this right now is a lot more than most people can say. Especially now. A lot of people want to stay gated. They don't want to say anything too crazy, or else they'll be judged, or they won't get their sponsors, or whatever. This day and age needs more honest people, if you ask me. We need to cut out this toxic bullshit that's going on and get to the fucking meat of it. You know, a big problem I've always had is, when it came to streaming, I felt like I had no one to bounce off of. And, admittedly, I would say that's because I was afraid of rambling. I was afraid of saying the things that I'm saying now. Because I just didn't know if anyone would hear me. I didn't care about judgment from others. You could give a shit about that in this day. I'll say it how it is. And this might turn people away in the future. I don't give a shit. Yeah, I was born a guy. I want to be a hermaphrodite. And as far as all the stuff that goes on with all the activism and all that, don't listen to them. They're crazy. Yeah, I'm trans. I haven't been able to afford doing any of the therapy or anything, but I can at least find solace in being me here. I can feel like myself here at the very least. For however long that is. And even if I came into amounts of money, I'd have to put my livelihood first. So I wouldn't even be able to do what I need to do then. And even so, I was more so waiting for science to get to a point where I could have both parts and still be fertile completely. Unfortunately, science has basically been fucking stopped by that, by politics. Don't get me wrong, this needed to happen. Things were getting out of hand. You can't even tell me there's 500 genders. I'm sorry. And if you deny that that wasn't a TikTok craze that started it all, then you were one of them. That wanted to stir so much shit. I'm gonna say it how it is. You have 3 scientific possibilities, and I do mean scientific. This is irrefutable. You have male, you have female, and you have hermaphrodite. It's been proven in humans, let alone the fact of nature. There are some animals that are hermaphrodites. These are irrefutable facts. Everything else? It's all just bullshit. Another part of this, we are basically unaffected by what was done as far as all this shit that happened. The only difference, the government isn't funding it. You're still able to go and find a hospital and whatnot, or a certain doctor that can go and do these procedures, so long as you are of age. That is the only requirement, let alone therapy, to make sure that's what you want. You know, So many people freaked out. So many people freaked out when that shit was going on, where they were like, oh, we're not going to be able to get our care anymore. Is that because you weren't working for it? Is that because you weren't working? Period? You just won't be able to afford it? I understand it can be dangerous because you're like in the middle of taking HRT and whatnot. I get that. That's why I didn't start myself, because I was in fear that something would get in the way, given my situation, where I wouldn't be able to get such treatment. So I just didn't do it yet. Let alone the fact of I want to be able to have children. You see, a lot of the extremists and activists will sit there and be upset and scared and all this other shit. Me, as someone who was like this from the beginning, not because of fads or anything, but because I discovered myself and who I was, because I needed to find who I was, to figure out what I actually felt. I had to do what I had to. And here I am. This is about as me as I get. I'll never achieve this. No. And that's the realism of it. But you know, at least it's fucking close. At least it's something that I can do to feel like me. And I'm thankful for the platform I'm on for it. I only wish that science could come along enough to where I could just be me. But even so, I have to work for it. And that's all I expect. This isn't something you force on children. There shouldn't be constant parades and all this other bullshit. You want to celebrate yourself? Do it. Celebrate being you in your own time, in your own home, where no one has to deal with it. Where no one can get angry at you for it. Where no one who disagrees will have any say in it. And maybe, just maybe, things can be a lot more bearable for those who do disagree, to where they can simply disagree and let things be fine. I just wish more people understood that, rather than the constant fire there is right now. All I've seen is nothing but drama, talking about how horrible trans people are. No. It wasn't trans people that were the issue, it was activists. And at least a lot of things are getting cleared up now. We can only hope that when this does wind up splashing back again, inevitably, at some point, that it doesn't go too far again. Because don't get me wrong, even I wanted every last bit of it to crumble when it was too far. For fuck's sake, we were having so much push even with video games. Why video games of all things? Like, dear God. The very thing that I loved from childhood was video games. I still love video games. But yet I cling on to the classics like no tomorrow because, let's just be fair, I'm not much for shooters. And that seems to be the only thing that really keeps going now. But hey, different things for different people, right? It's okay to have these things too. But man, at least be a little better at writing or be creative. Be subtle. Leave things to be thought upon. It's fine to have a fucking gay couple or whatever in a game or a show. It's fine to have someone who went through all that stuff. But man, you ain't gonna make any more of it than maybe a hug between two people. I remember when things like that were just subtle, and people would freak out about it because it was so not normal by society. But now, it's just so in your face that it's ridiculous. And it just makes people angry immediately. Just seeing even a speck of it. It's a shame. You know, when I was younger, when I was way younger, and the first thing that happened was there was news report of a gay couple being refused a wedding cake. That blew up all over the US, that story. And eventually it came out that it was in a court ruling, because they sued, that they couldn't discriminate based on that. Which, in my opinion, you should discriminate because someone loves another person. You shouldn't discriminate based on looks. If someone's causing a scene, if someone's being if someone's being what's the word again? If someone's being aggressive about something, then yes, take action, say no. They can't get whatever. But you know, at the same time, it just seems like everyone wants to put their ideals and beliefs first. And it's just a shame that that has to be the interactions we have. I feel like this whole world would go around so much smoother. Even if we don't like or agree with someone's statements, we could at least have some we could at least move on with our day. If things just weren't perfect. Because they aren't. It never will be perfect. There will always be someone who thinks differently. But you know, flaws and all, that's perfect enough for me. And to those of you that sit there and start beating your Bibles, I hope you understand I'm a believer too. And I urge you to reread through it if you are a believer. God went from being absolutely merciless to loving his people and forgiving them. And we are made in God's image. Start acting like it. And to those who don't believe, the book is a part of history. And that's fine. You don't have to believe. It's up to you. Simple as that. You're not forced to read it. You're not forced to change because of it. But you know, I just find it funny that both sides of those arguments, they always just start clashing over it. They don't just agree to disagree. It's always some sort of bullshit. I've made all sorts of friends. People, no matter where they are in this world, you know, back when we were all separated, we were all cavemen and whatnot, off to fend for ourselves, we found tribalism. We built nations and villages and everything together. And those who didn't want to be around or come together, they all died in the wilderness. Because they didn't want to help one another. Or they were probably isolated from villages. You never know with the circumstances way before our times. But at the end of the day, we were all stronger together than we are apart. Times have changed so much, too. We shouldn't be arguing over land in this day and age. We shouldn't be fighting each other's ideals and stuff either. Whoever's not on your land, good luck with it. You don't have to agree with someone who isn't in your land. And you can sit there and start disputes over what was and what wasn't, but we are here in the now. It is a long time we settle these things. Our ancestors didn't go to war for there to be more war. They wanted it to end. They wanted to find a conclusion. At least we are smart enough and have the capability to let go of the past and what it could be. I'm not saying to let go of everything, but how can you have a future with no past to look back on? I say let it be the example, but not let it dictate everything in the future. We need to learn things like history. We need to keep pushing for all sorts of knowledge. We need to stop the gatekeeping of it, no matter how much we may not agree over it. If it is documented, if there are statues of it, if there are monuments built, let it be known. Let it not be destroyed. Let it be respected. But don't let it carry over so much that it takes over. Be individuals of your own mind again. You may believe whatever you wish, either. You can even continue your beliefs. But just make sure they were yours, no one else's. Use logic and reasoning, even if you have very little. You gotta have some form of both of those. And to those who don't feel like they have the emotion, you do. You feel it every day when you get frustrated or perturbed, when you feel good and you're just not thinking about it. You're not soulless. You're people. I've had comments before in my life. They would say, you should be a pastor, you should be a president, you should be a lawmaker, you should be all of these things that sit there and speak out about people. The sad thing is, I was always too nervous because all of those things require a crowd. All of those things require an audience. This is something I can do at the comfort of my own home, without anyone in front of me. And now, even as I don't look at chat or anything because I don't have any of that in front of me. This is new to me, mind you. I've never, quote unquote, talked to a brick wall before. I've never just sat here and talked it out without someone being there. Except, I have. I've said entire speeches alone, just as I stood there in my kitchen. I've pre-talked many an argument. I've sat there and said the most eloquent of things. And I've always been so afraid to just hit record before doing any of those. There's so much things that I've spouted in my house, so many things that I've said, that probably could change the fucking world. Things that I will never be able to remember because they were in the moment. Even now, with how disjointed this entire stream is. Because I know it's all out of order. It's all ridiculous. I could only imagine. I've sat here for possibly 2 years, wanting to write something that I had the title in my mind to. A speech for the world. And I could never pick up the pencil to do so. I've typed maybe a couple paragraphs in a single channel. I've brought video references to it, like a Discord channel, not a YouTube channel. I've compiled all these things in one specific place, and it's all things about humanity. The ups, the downs, the greatness, the fall, the things that we need to do, things that I've been screaming since the beginning. I couldn't stand popularity when it started. I wasn't big on hip-hop or rap or everything that the media was pushing as far as what was popular. I always liked rock, metal, and my god, do I love some Cell Dweller. Clayton, all of your music, under every artist name that you've picked. Oh, absolute fire. And I wish I could hear all the stuff that you consider shit. Because I remember a video recalling that you've tossed out so many different things that you've made. I don't think you'll ever see this, but I would love to hear some of that. Big fan. You know, I've never really been big on the whole celebrity thought process. I had a friend that, they were a part of a VTuber community, and this was before I was ever, like, thinking I could be a VTuber. We wound up in the same instance with this big VTuber who was hosting an event, and I just walked up to the person and had a nice little few moment conversation with them. And my friend was practically pissing their pants over it. They were so scared and nervous they couldn't even approach them. And I'm sitting there like, dude, it's okay. They're just a person like you. There's no difference. Well, the thing is, yeah, there is a difference. There's a lot more eyes on them. But that's about it. They're a person who makes their creations and passions all the same as you do at home, and they hold a job of some form. And a job nowadays can just be classified as something you do to get paid for. So, it's not just some whole contracting thing, it's not some business you gotta work for or own. There's just things that you're able to do. And nowadays, I have a feeling that the idea of a celebrity is finally gonna come crashing down soon. Maybe with the realization that we don't have to hold people on pedestals like that, we can start supporting each other on those pedestals instead. So that way we can have more creativity again. We can have more push towards people. And we have more acceptance of normal things. Or at least things that could be normal. Things that bear logic and thought. You know, whenever I said that we should save the world, I meant it. And that's what I've been trying to do. One person at a time, since I can't make this push like I want. Since I can't reach out as much as I need, whether it's algorithms or the fact that I'm fucking boring. Yeah, I know. I'm not the best streamer. I'm far from it. I don't have a extremely obnoxiously loud voice. I don't have a massive vocal range typically. And I'm pretty sure all of my impressions that I'm capable of doing are probably muddled by the fact that it sounds right to me, but probably in a recording it isn't. All these things I've accepted. And I know I'm not the best at making things as far as videos and whatnot because I can't edit. I don't have the space on my computer, and I have no clue how to edit other than little cuts and whatnot on my phone. Like, I can do a short real quick, or I can do something like that, maybe. But at the end of the day, I can't edit full VODs down. I don't have DaVinci. I don't have the capabilities or capacity for it. And I know with all this time I have, I should be working on it, but I don't even have the space for it. So, to be fair, someone who had volunteered to edit for me, they wound up just too busy with life. And I don't hold that against them, no. They have life to deal with. Just man, the plans really did fall through. But that's fine. I personally rather doing VODs in the raw, not editing. Because at least it's the person there without any changes, without any censorship. It's just you there in the moment. I just wish that was more supported now, rather than eye-catching algorithms and having to pop off with certain little subtitles. You could say it's a nostalgia for when YouTube first started, but at the end of the day, that's not gonna change. It ain't going back. Corporate greed has taken it all over. The only ones that's gonna change that is all of us, but if you believe you can't, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna do anything. That's a big reason why I want to try and bring more hope to people. There are things we can do. Our voices can be heard. We may think we're powerless, but if enough of you would stop thinking that we are hopeless, if enough of you were to stand on the things that you believe in, if enough of you would try your best for everyone around one another, this world would go so much smoother. And why do I say you? Because I'm doing what I can. I really am. Every person I talk to about all of this, they understand. They just wish they had someone to drag that out of them sooner. There's things that I can talk about one-on-one so easily, but it's so hard to generalize across the masses. The first thing I thought, whenever you try to save everyone, you can't be a president. You can't go for that kind of thing. Because the second you try to step into office, you have about 5 different hands up your ass trying to take control, let alone the fact of whatever you say and do is going to be immediately met with some opposition. No matter what those beliefs and choices you have made are. As far as we go, whenever someone gets put into office, it's either going to be a nation or even the very people within your country that are just gonna neglect whatever you have to say. And that's why I never went for anything of that sort, whether it was a Congress member or a president party or whatever the fuck. I chose VTubing because It has to be someone who doesn't want a seat of power. It has to be someone who can reach out to the masses, no matter where they are in the world. And it has to be someone who can care. Someone who can do that unhinderedly. I personally can take any criticisms that come my way. Personally. Because they're criticisms. I can understand when I've said a mistake. We're not perfect. We will fuck up. I just feel like this was the only way that I could try and reach out to people. The sad truth of it is, I've gotten to just about no one. But only just about. I'm not sad about my numbers being low for a financial reason. I understood that from the beginning. I'm just sad that I feel like I can't get to enough people. I wanted to gradually, over time, build a community. I wanted to get to know so many different kinds of people. I wanted to create. I wanted to tell a story. I wanted to share my humanity with humanity. And even though I feel like I may never get to give my story, at least I had one along the way. And at least I was able to help the few that I managed to come across. If you're thinking I'm going to graduate, that's far from the truth. There's a lot of things that they tell you when it comes to VTubing. But a lot of people forget to talk about the fact you can come back to this at any point. You can do whatever's needed in between. It's not mandatory that you do this. It can become a job, oh yes, but that's a different beast entirely. No, when it comes to this, even if you have to stop for a good long time, you can always come back. That does go for me. I don't have too much content constantly, and I can't just rely on whatever free things that I wind up with off of Epic Games or any sort of other ways that I get a free game. All the friend slop content, it just ain't worth it. Like hell, I tried to make connections with people, other VTubers and whatnot. I managed to have a couple of my friends join me for my streams, and I had so much fun with them. I want to have more fun, I want to meet more people. I want to find so many more that just need a little push. I want to see that I've given hope to some people that have lost their way. I don't give a fuck about the money. And I know I'll probably wind up homeless someday. But even that don't bother me. I'm a person living in the thick of it as it is. And it's gonna get a lot worse. Probably. Yeah, I'm not as bad off as most humans are. But, we all have our struggles, don't we? No, my nation isn't getting bombed. No, I'm not having to starve constantly. It isn't as bad as it feels. But I feel like it could be better for everyone. I feel like we could be doing more. I'd explain why, as far as my situation. I might have said things here or there through my VODs too, but things just don't really change as easily for me. Eventually, I hope there will be a good change in the future. I think I'll leave things off on this. I'm going to ask you a single question. If you were to choose to be an unstoppable force or an immovable object, which would you be? I'm going to give you a few moments. Now, as far as an unstoppable force and an immovable object, we can choose to be either one of these. If you chose to be an immovable object, you wish to sit there, endless, unmoved and unwavering through time. You've chosen that you will not hear any difference, you will not change at all, and things will go your way so long as you sit and do nothing. Nothing will change. Nothing will be different. And should anything collide into you, you shall not move, you shall not waver. You see, me personally, I'd rather be an unstoppable force. You are unwavering. You push forward at all times. You break past the obstacles that lie in your wake. You have the power to do anything that you set your mind to. No matter what it takes, no matter how far you go, no matter what tries to get in your way. And the best part of this is, you have the power to move past your obstacles as well. You don't have to collide with the immovable object. You can just move past them and keep going. You can reach for the stars faster than anything that's seeded into the ground for eternity ever will. And that's what I aim to do, even from my meager standpoint where I am. I may not be able to see the time where we as people get to venture out into the stars and explore the very creations of the universe, to experience the laws of physics we have yet to discover, to understand the very fabric of our existence and the things that are around us. But I damn well can do my best in making a future where humanity will be capable of these things that are so impossible. I refuse to give up hope. I refuse to let people tell me it's impossible to save the world. I refuse to let someone tell me that we'll never find peace. Because this is something that we all thought as children. Why is there war? Why can't we just work together? We can. It just takes a lot of work. We were meant to surpass our obstacles. So let's start. Why sit engraved in our ways? Why sit there with no hope? Help one another. All of you. Because otherwise, it's just gonna be another day where nothing gets done. We're capable. You're capable. And I am too. All I can say. Give it your all. Do what you need. But when someone else needs you, be there for them. Even when they don't show the signs. Even when they won't speak up. Tell them it's okay. You don't know how long they have, let alone yourself. Let's make a future where it's worth it for our next generations. Let's do better for ourselves and each other. So that way, we do get to document what exactly is out there. We do get to explore space. We do get to view these miracles up close. Not for yourself, not for your nation, not for everyone, but for all of humanity, let alone anything else that we come across. And I know how contradictory it sounded. We're not perfect, though, are we? And that's fine. Because acceptance is the first step. Turn to your brother or sister. Turn to your neighbor. Either a hug or a handshake, whichever you feel appropriate, and say thanks for being an individual. Because without ideas to conflict our own, we wouldn't have ideas to begin with. It's beautiful, even if we can't agree. Let's work together. All of us.